We often think of sales training as like mastering techniques and scripts, but it's not about memorizing lines. It's about personal development.
Yeah, what's interesting is that he compares traditional sales training to like learning calculus or Zumba.
Okay.
Sure, they're valuable skills, right? But they don't directly translate to the human-centric world of sales.
Mm-hmm.
He argues that this overemphasis on technique, it actually sets people up for failure.
Because it doesn't address the root of the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is this thing he calls the middle. So what exactly is the middle?
Okay, so imagine this.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, an intense exploration of how you show up in life, business, and relationships, and how they're all connected in the infinite thread that is you. So let's get into the dive. Here's your hosts, Marcus and Nara.
Welcome to The Dive. I'm Nara Daniels.
I'm Marcus Harrison. Welcome to our deep dive into the middle. It's this fascinating concept developed by sales coach Dan Gordon. So what exactly is the middle?
Okay, so imagine this. You aced your sales training, you're feeling super confident, and then bam, you're on like your first real call.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly your mind goes blank. You fumble and you feel like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
That's the middle. It's the gap between theory and practice. It's that moment when like fear and self-doubt take over and all those fancy techniques, they just fly right out the window.
Poof, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your brain just freezes up at the worst possible moment. And I think we've all been there at some point in our lives, right? Not just in sales.
Yeah.
So why does this happen? Why do we just crumble under pressure?
Well, it's all thanks to our good friend, the amygdala.
Ah, the amygdala.
It's that part of our brain that's like hardwired for survival, right? Think of it as like a super vigilant bodyguard, constantly scanning for threats.
Okay.
And in the context of a sales call, it perceives like the discomfort, the uncertainty as danger.
So even though we know logically that a sales call isn't a life or death situation, our amygdala is screaming like, run for the hills.
Exactly. And the problem is this little bodyguard, it has like a direct line to our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking and decision making.
Okay.
So when the amygdala freaks out, it can like hijack the whole system.
It's like having a well-meaning but overly protective parent who won't let you ride your bike without a helmet, knee pads, elbow pads, and a full suit of armor.
That's a great analogy, like totally. And because of this amygdala hijack, we get caught up in a loop of like negative thoughts and feelings. Gordon compares humans to bunnies,
Okay.
He says a bunny being chased by a fox, will experience that intense fear, right? But once it escapes, it goes back to happily munching carrots.
Oh, whereas we humans, we tend to replay our past failures and rejections, like over and over again. We let the fear of that metaphorical fox prevent us from enjoying those juicy carrots.
Precisely. This fear of rejection, it runs deeper than we might realize,
Okay.
It taps into a primal fear of being like fundamentally flawed and unlovable.
Okay. That's getting pretty deep. So it's not just about like losing a sale. It's about feeling like a failure as a person.
Exactly. And that's why the middle can be so paralyzing, right? We're not just trying to avoid a bad sales call. We're trying to protect ourselves from like the emotional pain of feeling unworthy.
So how do we break free from this cycle of fear and self-doubt? Does Gordon offer any like actionable advice?
He does, and it's not what you might expect. He says mastering sales isn't about mastering techniques.
Okay.
It's about mastering yourself. He encourages us to shift our focus from external validation to internal validation.
So instead of chasing sales targets and accolades, we should be focusing on personal growth and self-acceptance.
Exactly. We come from a place of self-love and worth. Rejection becomes less personal, and failure becomes a valuable learning opportunity. He says it starts with answering a fundamental question. Who do I want to be?
So before we even think about closing deals, we need to define who we are and what we stand for.
Precisely. And when we operate from this place of authenticity, sales transform from a pressure-filled pursuit into a genuine form of service. It becomes less about convincing and more about connecting.
It sounds like he's saying that the key to success in sales is to actually stop focusing on sales and start focusing on ourselves. Is that right?
That's a great way to put it. And Gordon doesn't just leave us with this feel-good philosophy. He offers very specific and actionable steps to help us cultivate this unshakable self-worth and navigate the middle with confidence.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's dive into those actionable steps. What's the first one?
Well, one of the most powerful things is creating what he calls a hype file.
Hype file.
Yeah. This isn't about hype in the traditional sense. It's about combating that negative self-talk that creeps in during the middle.
So how do we create this hype file? What goes in it?
It's a collection of positive feedback, testimonials, accomplishments, anything that reminds you of your strengths and your value. The idea is that when you're feeling down or doubting yourself, you can refer back to this file, and it's like an instant boost of confidence.
It's like having a personal cheerleading squad on call 247. I love it. It sounds like a simple yet powerful way to counteract those negative thoughts that can sabotage us in the middle.
He also talks about reframing rejection. Instead of seeing it as a personal failure, he encourages us to view it as data.
Okay.
Each no is simply a piece of information that helps us refine our approach.
So instead of getting discouraged by rejection, we should be analyzing it and learning from it.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective and seeing rejection as a stepping stone to success rather than a roadblock. But it's not always easy to maintain that positive mindset, especially when we're feeling the pressure of the middle.
Right, because in the heat of the moment, it's easy to get caught up in those negative thoughts and feelings. So how do we stay grounded and focused when those doubts start creeping in?
Well, one technique is the 3 wins replay.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. Tell me more about this replay.
It's a simple but effective exercise where you take a few minutes at the end of each day to reflect on 3 things you did well. They don't have to be major accomplishments, just small wins that highlight your strengths and progress.
So even if the day felt like a complete disaster, we can still find 3 little victories to celebrate. That's a great way to end the day on a positive note and rewire our brains to focus on the good stuff even when things feel tough.
Another powerful tool is visualization, to mentally rehearse successful sales interactions before they happen.
Ooh, visualization. I've heard athletes use this technique to improve their performance.
Exactly. And it can be just as effective in sales. By repeatedly imagining ourselves succeeding, we actually start to believe it. And that belief translates into real-world confidence.
So it's like giving our brains a sneak peek of the winning outcome, which then helps us perform better when the actual moment arrives.
That's the idea. And speaking of performing under pressure, Gordon also recommends mastering what he calls the power pause.
Power pause. Sounds intriguing. Break it down for us.
It's a technique for regaining control in those moments when we feel ourselves getting flustered or overwhelmed. It's as simple as consciously taking a moment to breathe and collect our thoughts before responding.
So it's like hitting the reset button before things spiral out of control. And I imagine this can be especially helpful in those high-pressure situations where we might feel tempted to blurt out something we later regret. Are there any other techniques for navigating the middle?
He also talks about the importance of embracing the tension that comes with pushing past our comfort zones.
Okay.
He acknowledges that it's natural to feel fear when we're stretching ourselves, but he encourages us to see fear as a sign that we're growing.
So instead of trying to avoid fear altogether, we should acknowledge it and accept it as a natural part of the growth process. Does he offer any specific advice on how to actually do that?
He does. He actually gives us a little mantra to use when we're feeling afraid. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I've got this.
I love that. It's like acknowledging our fear, but then gently reassuring ourselves that we're capable of handling the challenge. It's like turning fear into a supportive friend instead of a menacing enemy.
Exactly. And with these practical steps, we can not just survive the middle, but to thrive in it, using it as a springboard for personal and professional growth.
You know, it's fascinating how Gordon emphasizes personal development as the foundation for sales success. It's like he's saying, hey, before you even try to sell anything, take a good look in the mirror and figure out who you are and what you stand for.
That's exactly it. He's not just talking about closing deals. He's talking about building character.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're not taking care of your own emotional well-being, you're not going to be able to show up authentically and serve others in a meaningful way.
And that really resonates with me because I think a lot of us get caught up in this chase for external validation, the awards, the recognition, the big sales numbers, but we forget about the internal work that needs to happen along the way.
Absolutely. And he cautions us against falling into this trap.
Okay.
He uses the example of Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, who, despite all his gold medals, struggled with depression and even contemplated suicide.
Wow, that's a powerful reminder that external success doesn't always equate to internal fulfillment. It's like there's a deeper level of happiness and purpose that goes beyond, achievements and accolades.
Precisely. The middle can actually serve as a kind of like spiritual barometer, a checkpoint where we can pause and ask ourselves, am I living in alignment with my values?
Yeah.
Am I prioritizing the love I make over the love I take? That balance between like serving others and serving ourselves. It's like the difference between giving a gift and receiving one. Love we make is the value we create for others, the positive impact we have on their lives.
Okay.
Love we take is what we gain from the interaction, the commission, the recognition, the sense of accomplishment.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not about completely disregarding our own needs and desires. It's about finding that sweet spot where we're both serving others and honoring ourselves.
Exactly. It's about creating win-win situations where everyone benefits.
Yeah.
This is the key to achieving sustainable success and genuine fulfillment, both personally and professionally.
So it's not about becoming a sales robot, turning out deals at any cost. It's about being a human being who happens to be good at sales.
That's a great way to put it. It's about approaching sales with integrity, authenticity, and a genuine desire to help others. And when we do that, we not only achieve our professional goals, but we also become the best versions of ourselves in the process.
So we've talked about the middle as this scary place where fear and self-doubt can take over. But it's also an opportunity for profound personal growth.
Absolutely. He sees it as like a crucible, a testing ground where we can forge our character and develop the resilience and self-awareness we need to thrive, not just in sales, but in all areas of life.
It's like a rite of passage, a necessary challenge that we must overcome in order to reach our full potential.
That's a powerful way to think about it. And this journey through the middle is not something we have to do alone.
Okay, you've got me intrigued. Tell me more.
He talks about the importance of surrounding ourselves with supportive people who believe in us, and our vision mentors, coaches, friends, family people who can offer encouragement and guidance when we're feeling lost or discouraged.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders in our corner,
Right.
reminding us of our strengths and helping us get back on track when we stumble.
Exactly. And he also emphasizes the power of community,
Yeah.
connecting with others who are on a similar journey, sharing our experiences, and learning from each other's successes and failures.
Well, it's like we're all in this together, navigating this challenging but ultimately rewarding path toward personal and professional fulfillment.
Precisely. And as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I think it's important to remember that the middle is not a destination to be feared, but a passage to be embraced. It's in those moments of challenge and discomfort that we discover our true potential and emerge as the confident, authentic, and successful individuals we were meant to be. We emerge as unstoppable forces of authenticity.
Wow.
Rejection becomes merely data, just a feedback loop that helps us refine our approach. And the right clients, the ones who resonate with our values and appreciate our genuine energy, they're drawn to us.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we believe in ourselves and the value we bring, the more others will believe in us too.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting because sales transform from a battle of persuasion to a journey of connection.
Okay.
We're no longer trying to convince people to buy. We're simply sharing our passion, our expertise, and the sales flow naturally from those authentic interactions.
It sounds like reaching this level of mastery requires a complete paradigm shift, a move away from manipulation and towards genuine human connection.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that sales at its core is about serving others. It's about understanding their needs and helping them find solutions that make their lives better.
Yeah.
And Goran suggests that when we approach sales from this perspective, we not only achieve greater success, we also experience a deeper sense of fulfillment.
Because we're no longer just focused on hitting our quotas. We're actually making a positive impact on the world.
That's exactly it. And this idea of service, of genuinely wanting to help others, is central to Gordon's philosophy. He believes that when we operate from this place of integrity, we naturally attract the right clients, those who align with our values and appreciate the unique gifts we have to offer.
So it's not just about closing deals, it's about building lasting relationships based on trust and mutual respect.
Absolutely. And this level of mastery is achievable for anyone willing to put in the work, right?
Right.
The work of personal development, self-reflection, and a commitment to serving others.
It's a reminder that we all have something valuable to offer the world. And that success in sales and in life is about tapping into our authentic selves and sharing our gifts with others.
Beautifully said. So as you continue on your own sales journey, remember Gordon's words. Sales isn't about learning tips, scripts, tricks, and techniques. It's about elevating yourself. It's about learning who you are.
And remember, the middle is not a destination to be feared, but a passage to be embraced. It's in those moments of challenge and discomfort that we discover our true potential and emerge as the confident, authentic, and successful individuals we're meant to be. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the middle. We hope you found it insightful and empowering. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing through the middle. You've got this.
We hope you enjoyed the deep dive. Subscribe to the podcast for more deep dives as Nara and Marcus traverse the infinite exploration into the mind and soul of you. We'll see you next time on The Dive.